Today we're going to be installing a whole bunch of parts from our partners over at BMR Suspension. We've got the lowering springs, the performance springs on here. We've got their vertical links up on over here. We've got their end links, subframe bushing. We've got some other bushings on the IRS here. Everything is all set up on this car to help make it perform better both on the street and the track. All right, Team Lethal fans, we're back down here at RSA Race Solutions today, continuing the build for our Team Lethal Mustang car giveaway. Today, we're going to be installing a whole bunch of parts from our partners over at BMR Suspension. So let's go over to the table, take a look at the parts that we have, and then go get them on the car. Here we go. We've got a whole bunch of BMR Suspension products laid out on the table. You guys know I ran BMR stuff on Project Goldmember. That was our 2018 GT car. That was a Magna ride. I went 864 at 157 miles an hour in, so we know their parts work awesome. Check these out, guys. These are the BMR Performance Lowering Springs. These are not only going to lower your car nicely, give a nice even drop to it, but also improve handling and performance on the street. Moving along from the performance springs, we've got some more bushings from them here for your IRS, as well as their adjustable upper camber links. These are nice and billet. They also have some polyurethane bushings, so it's going to be more friendly on the street, less noise vibration. And here we have the BMR subframe IRS bracing kit. This is going to help stiffen up the rear end, make sure that you don't have a lot of slop from those factory bushings back there, and plant that power to the ground properly. Less wheel hop, less flex, and better performance. We've got the BMR vertical links right here. These run polyurethane bushings to stiffen things up in the back, get rid of the flex from the factory rubber bushings, help prevent wheel hop, and get you down the track or on the street. And here we have the BMR adjustable toe links. These are going to help give you more adjustability for fine tuning, stiffen up the car, and give you better performance while you're on the street. All right, well, that's a lot of components from BMR Suspension that we've got to install in the car. So let's get going with it, install them on there, and give you guys a review on how it feels after we're done with the install.
All the BMR stuff, we're going to be starting with the back of the car. Now we're going to be pretty much disassembling the entire rear cradle here, and we're going to install all the new suspension parts as they come off. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here by, of course, taking off the wheels. Now, as far as disassembly goes, you're going to want to go ahead and get the brakes out of the way for sure, simply because you're going to be taking apart that entire knuckle and everything else around it, removing it from the vehicle. So you're definitely going to want to get all of the brakes out of the way so you don't damage any of the brake lines or the calipers themselves. There's really no wrong place to start on this disassembly once you have the brakes off. Basically, all you want to do is remove all of the links that are connected to that knuckle, and then of course the axle itself, and remove the knuckle from the vehicle. Because we are installing a solid bushing in the rear lower control arm, we are going to have to remove it from the vehicle, since it's something that we are going to have to put in a press to remove and install the new one. However, if we weren't installing that bushing, we could pretty much keep the entire lower control arm inside the car and totally together to make things a little bit easier. You can see there a pretty big difference between the stock bushing and the new BMR bearing that we just installed. Now, while it's not necessary to remove, we're going to go ahead and drop the entire rear cradle here, since it's going to make it a lot easier to show you guys how to install those differential bushing lockouts. Of course, this is going to require removing the exhaust as well as disconnecting it from the drive shaft. But otherwise, it's a fairly easy process as long as you have the proper supports to let it down easy. It only requires 4 bolts and the whole subframe is out of the car. Once the new diff bushing lockouts are in place, we went ahead and installed the subframe back into place. Now that we've got the subframe back in, we can pretty much start the entire reassembly with all the new BMR components, including the first thing, the Cradle Lockout Kit. Of course, with the rear control arms going in, we've got to put those rear springs in, which of course is made a ton easier by removing the control arm, but is not necessary. With everything else going on, including the knuckle and the axles, we can go ahead and start to add on the camber links and the toe links. Now, since all the BMR links are fully adjustable, we went ahead and set them to the stock length based off what the stock components were set at. Now, this here is simply just to get us to the alignment shop, but this car is definitely going to need an alignment once we get this thing back on the road. The last piece on the rear suspension is going to be those BMR vertical links. Once those are installed, we can go ahead and start installing the rear brakes, and then of course torque everything down to spec and move on to the fronts. For the front end, we're doing stuff pretty easily here, just installing the BMR Performance lowering springs. Now, with this, it is going to require the removal of the strut, as you can see Shane doing here. The biggest thing, of course, is to get the brake caliper and brake rotor out of the way safely so that it doesn't get damaged during the process. With a little bit of trim removed, it gives you full access to the top of the strut. Once those 3 nuts are removed, the strut should drop right out of the bottom. Once you get the strut on the bench, it's pretty much just your basic lowering spring install. First, you're of course going to compress the stock spring so that you can get the top hat off. Once the top hat's off, you just want to transfer over the stock isolators onto the new lowering springs. Once those are on, just align it on the strut itself, and of course reinstall the top hat. Now, per BMR's instructions, they have you modify the bump stop to where it allows for better travel, since you now have less travel with your new lowering springs on the stock strut. Once you get the strut all back together, all you have to do now is bolt it back on the car the same way you took it off. Once we're all buttoned up on this side, we're going to go ahead and repeat the process on the other side. Once the front's finished up, we're completely done with our BMR suspension install.
I want to give a big thanks to BMR Suspension for taking part of this build, our Lethal Performance giveaway car. Very excited, guys. And remember, for every dollar that you spend here at Lethal Performance, you gain 1 entry, as well as we're giving away $10,000 in cash with this fully built setup on here. It's going to be insane. Make sure to come to lethalperformance.com to make all of your purchases, as well as for the official rules of our giveaway. And follow the build on our YouTube channel. I'm the Mustang King, and I'm out. And we're going to be in, it was good, right?
Yeah, giveaway, you said giveaway.
Mustang Giveaway.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. Giveaway Mustang.
Continue our build for a Mustang Giveaway.
Yeah, why'd you stop though?
Because you f***ing started moving around, motherfucker, that's why.
Look, that's all I gave.
No, you f***ing shook the camera, Joe. What the f***, man?
I kiss you, bro.
Man, do it again. F***ing Joe. You nod at me again. F***ing Joe. For taking part of this build. We really appreciate your support. And remember, guys,